advance towards each other as the night really does begin to get very, very cold indeed. Bobby McDermott, the wee blonde boy from Glasgow, always giving away height and reach and weight and heaven knows what else to people. That's Bobby McDermott for Scotland. And the taller man, Dave, with the name on the trunks, is Dave Boy McAuley from County Antrim. And these two are fighting an eliminator for the British Flyweight title. That's the 8-stone championship, which has only just been won a day or two ago by Duke Mckenzie, the brother of Clinton Mckenzie from Croydon. So we have a new flyweight champion, and one of these two hopes one day to take him on for it. The blonde man, the smaller of the two, is McDermott from Scotland. His opponent is McAuley from Ireland. This is scheduled to go 10 rounds. Good little left reply there from McAuley. And McDermott felt that, and he's still not quite sure where he is. Sid Nathan is the referee. McDermott has the inscription Sherbo on the left leg of his trunks, and I have to confess to you, I don't know what that means. Good left again, top of the head, just as well for McDermott it was. Otherwise he might have been over in this opening round. Well, the extra reach and height is paying off for McAuley already. One of Ireland's popular heroes. He's a stablemate of Barry McGuigans, and he frequently spars with McGuigans. Gets a little caution there for the inside of the glove. But he's left hooking McDermott unmercifully. McDermott's got no defense against him. McDermott, by crouching down, he is a short man anyway, and by crouching he makes himself very, very short, and consequently McAuley's punches, the hooks, are landing on the top of the head. Well, there's McDermott's own left hook on the bell, but he's up without a count. McAuley is up without a count. The bell to end the first. Well, how about that for first round action? It was all McAuley until the bell came to end the round. He'd been left hooking his man, and suddenly the biter was bit. Here we are at the end of the round again, with McDermott under considerable pressure from that left hook of McDermott's. But there was a surprise to come for McAuley, and that was it. McDermott's left hook, and he's trying to hit him when he's down. He's lucky he didn't get a very severe caution for that. Round two. The tall McAuley from Larne in County Antrim against the wee man from Glasgow, the blonde Bobby McDermott. McDermott, a former Scottish amateur champion. This time the right hand of McDermott gets over the top. Typical little Glaswegian battler. Some of it with the inside of the glove, some of it not. He only knows one way to fight, and that's get your head down and coming close and hook. McAuley, the Irishman, has been a bantamweight for 3 years. It's 3 years since he tried to make 8 stone, and he's made it. He's come in at 7:13 3/4, but it's a long time since he tried to do it. Last time he was a flyweight, McAuley, was when he was an amateur. He's seldom got more than 8'4", so he's really only a blown-up flyweight, but it is 3 years since he tried to make 8 stone. It's Dave McAuley. Round 2. McAuley, of course, was a stablemate of Hugh Russell, who used to hold the British flyweight title until he retired earlier this year. So McAuley's interest is to get that title back for the stable. But first he's got to get McDermott out of the way, and that's no easy task. McAuley now teasing with the left, long reach. We'll get a surprise from McDermott at the end of this round. It's coming up now. No. Well, McDermott was on the end of that leading left hand of McAuley's practically all the way through that second round. Well, the Scots, of course, have always had a marvellous flyweight tradition. People like Benny Lynch and Jackie Patterson and John McCluskey, Walter McGowan, all great flyweights in their time. So there is a great tradition to live up to, and this little man is conducting himself with honor here tonight. He's under 5 feet tall, but into that tiny frame is packed a lot of determination and power. McAuley in the royal blue trunks, and the wee McDermott, the blonde boy from Glasgow. Hook again. McAuley getting through with McDermott trapped on the ropes. You can understand for yourself the problems that McDermott has, but then he lives with this all the time because nearly everybody he meets is taller than he is and has a better reach than he does. He never lets it deter him. But if Boy McAuley handles himself properly here, there's no reason why McDermott should ever get very close to him. Only to walk into more punishment. using a lot of this big ring. It's a maximum size ring, 20 feet inside the ropes.
Right. Here we go. All right. Stand back, Corley. Stand back. Right, stand back.
McDermott's done all the chasing, but he's hardly ever got into a position where he's actually been able to connect with a punch. Dave McAuley, who has had some great battles with people like the veteran Welshman, Dave George, and Graham Kid Clark, another Welshman. And of course, he does this regular sparring with Barry McGuigans in Belfast, and that can do nothing but sharpen you up. McDermott comes straight out and slings the right. Just to remind McAuley that he's still there. McDermott's a sort of promoter's dream. He's the sort of man that he'll turn up to watch a promotion, and if the promoter said, "I'm short of somebody, will you take on so-and-so?" he'd just automatically say yes. And something rather similar to that happened to him in his last fight. His original opponent pulled out, and he took on a man who was very much heavier than he was, Dean Bramhall, and he gave away 8 inches in height and 8 pounds in weight, and he still came out the winner. That's the sort of man McDermott is. It's quite clear that the Irish boy, McAuley, the tall man, has decided to use his natural advantages and try to keep this as much as possible at long range. And that unquestionably has come about because of the way he got dropped at the end of the first by McDermott's left hook. McAuley's elbows and shoulders being used a bit. McAuley again. That's the danger if you let him get close. Fourth round. Last few seconds, just as well for McAuley. Oh. And there's the lesson. If you let the little Scot come too close to you, he's going to give you a lot of problems. And in the closing 30 seconds, McAuley took a lot of stick. of those closing moments when suddenly the blonde Scot unleashed a few good punches. And McAuley, look at the way his knees buckled there. He didn't actually go down, but it was a miracle he didn't. These were very, very dangerous moments for McAuley, and perhaps it was fortunate for him that it happened so near the end of the round.
Second up, round 5.
Well, the minute's interval will have revived McAuley. Blinking, where McDermott's caught him with these sweeping punches. And again, McAuley now not able to keep the Scot away from him. And he's got him. The knees fully buckled this time. Round 5. And it looks as though McAuley may not survive this ferocious attack by this wee Scot, who's on the verge of winning this eliminator for the British Flyweight title. I would have thought McAuley would have started a pretty firm favourite for this. But he's on the brink of defeat here if McDermott can only press home the advantage. Back, coming off the ropes with his own punches, but this little Scot will not be denied. What a battler McDermott is. McDermott unbeaten in his last 4 fights. Looking like a man who's been caught in a thunderstorm without protection. So another round has gone by where McDermott has threatened to sweep the man away from him, but he hasn't quite done it. And McAuley will come up for the 6th. Again, this is the punch that brought McAuley to his knees. There he goes. And this is the little man who's causing all the trouble for the Irishman.
Second up, round 6.
Question now whether McAuley can get his senses together again and use his obvious advantages. Try to get that left working and pin McDermott on the end of it. He's not using his left. He's swinging with the right and out of distance at that. Bobby McDermott from Glasgow still coming forward, chasing McAuley all the time. The man with the physical advantages. This is the sixth, and it's going to be interesting to see whether McAuley, who's making flyweight for the first time for 3 years, coming down from bantam, whether he can really stay strong under this relentless pressure. Doing nothing now except being evasive. I get a caution from Sid Nathan in a minute to start working a bit. McAuley clearly decided that caution was the better part of valor there. He spent the whole 3 minutes almost literally running away and did very little on his own account and denied McDermott the chance to get near him. It's interesting now to see which way this battle turns, whether McAuley, by running away for a round, has given himself a chance to recover after being under tremendous pressure for a couple of rounds, whether now he can come out and take control again. Because there's no doubt at all, through the last 2 rounds, he's completely lost control against the smaller man. Tactics this time for McAuley, the Irishman. He's the one now trying to come forward. Good right hand from McAuley. McDermott felt that, and the little Scot suddenly is finding we're going a bit tougher than it was. And McAuley will certainly gain confidence from this. The whole tone of the battle, the tenor of the battle is turned, and suddenly McDermott's in trouble. Over he goes. Round 7. He's up at 4. So what a remarkable eliminator this is. McAuley started as though he was going to left hook his man into defeat. Then the whole thing switched the other way in McDermott's favour. And now once again the Irishman is on top. This is scheduled for 10, and we're in the 7th. And it's a very weary McDermott indeed who flops on to the stool as the night darkens. And perhaps the outlook darkens a little too for McDermott, who may have thought he had this one, and suddenly it does seem different. But he's a tough little man. But he had to take a bit of punishment here as McAuley found a new lease of life. And over went McDermott. So there's 3 to go, including this one. So this is some battle. In the 8th now. These two now beginning to get very tired indeed, leaning on each other, trying to punch away, but it's getting harder and harder. They've taken an awful lot out of each other. McAuley using his elbows inside again. Should get told about that. Locked toe-to-toe. McAuley marked under the left eye, but he has been for some time. closing seconds of the 8th. Hard-fought round. Most of the time they've been toe-to-toe, and neither one man or the other had the upper hand there. So we're going to go into the final 2 rounds with this thing still wide open. And round about the 4th and the 5th, you wouldn't have given too much for McAuley's chances. But now it's looking as though it could go either way. Dave Boy McAuley on the left, the taller of these 2 men, from Larne in County Antrim. And Bobby McDermott, the little Glaswegian, who gives 101% value. The Irishman looking 10 times as confident as he was about 4 rounds ago. What a battler he is. He's still slinging these hooks inside. Pressing forward again. Wonderful action fight. It's interesting the way McAuley's been drawn into standing like this and just slinging punches all the time, whereas he's got all the physical attributes to stand off and control the fight with his left hand, and he's never done it. Prepared to stand back. Closing half minute of the 9th. So another close and rugged round between these 2. And so we come now to the closing 3 minutes as we look at David Boy McAuley from Larne in County Antrim, 23 years old, with Barry McGuigans' trainer, the grey-haired Eddie Shaw, in the corner with him there. And it must be pretty close, I would have thought. And there's little Bobby McDermott from the Alex Morrison stable in Glasgow, and Sid Nathan, the referee, in the foreground. And it looks as though he'll be the man who'll decide this in the end, whereas at one point it didn't look possible that it would go all the way. But here we are now, coming up to the 10th and final round of this eliminator for the British Flyweight Championship, which has just been won only this week by Duke Mckenzie of Croydon.
10th and last round.
And they both get an appreciative cheer from this huge crowd in the Queen's Park Rangers football ground. And you still get the feeling that some extraordinary surprise could come about here. McDermott's looking very tight. His legs seem to have gone. He can't stand up. He's got along the ropes like a crab, and he's had to go down in McAuley's corner, and his leg's gone. His right leg seems to have given way under him. Completely gone. He couldn't stand. And he's been taken out of the fight. What a disappointing ending to that brave little Scot. But McAuley's the winner. The Irishman is the winner in the 10th and final round. For some extraordinary reason, McDermott's legs refused to hold him up. And he went slithering along the ropes into McAuley's corner. And he tried to come up, and he couldn't. His right leg seemed to have given way underneath him. We can see it again. Extraordinary finish. I said there might be some extraordinary surprise. And there was, and this is it. Look at his right leg. It doesn't work. It just doesn't work for him. He tries to come upright, and he can't make his legs work for him. How he stood upright, I don't know. Sideways, slithering, and then finally collapse and rescue by Sidney from the referee.
35 seconds into the 10th round. The referee stopped that contest. Bobby McDermott was in no position to defend himself, and the winner is Dave Boy McAuley.
And so it's 23-year-old McAuley from County Antrim who goes forward in the eliminators towards the British Flyweight Championship in a fight which had a most unhappy and extraordinary finish.